few years ago, my mother's cousin Sandy died at the age of 82, surrounded by his wife, children, and grandchildren. We all loved and admired Sandy, not because he had an MIT degree and a lot of commercial success, but because he was a great person. He was a mensch, a pillar of the community. So wouldn't you like to be like my cousin Sandy? I know I would. And we all have it within us. We have that capacity to be a mensch, to be a really good person. And the Jewish spiritual practice of Mussar can teach you how to do it. I've been practicing Mussar for about 4 years, and almost immediately I started teaching it. One of my students came up to me and said, "Greg, it would be perfect if we could create a Mussar app. It could be like a little pocket mensch, something that we carried around with us, where we could get a little bit of learning, and it can help reinforce our daily practice." I might ask you, are you a member of a synagogue? Well, if you're not, you're like 70% of the Jews in the United States who aren't members of a synagogue. You might be saying, well, I don't speak any Hebrew. Well, that's okay. 48% of the Jews in the United States don't know a single letter of the Hebrew alphabet. The way that I teach Mussar, it's not necessary at all to know any Hebrew. We have a feature in the app called instant journaling or snap journaling, where right after something happens, you can go and capture it in a journal. Like, let's say you're in a meeting and somebody puts you on the spot and you say yes to something that really inside you wanted to say no to. That's your humility soul trait in play. So you can go and just write a little about that. And you can also use the slider to capture where you think your humility balance was at that point. Then later at the end of the week, you can go back and look at your history and see all of the different entries. And you can see where you were, go back and read and ponder and reflect. And what you'll find very quickly is you'll see tendencies and you'll have opportunities to decide how you're going to work to change. In American Mussar, I've picked 13 soul traits that I think are particularly relevant for people in America and in the world today. What you'll do is you work on each soul trait for 2 weeks, and then when you've finished your 13, you go back to the first. One of my students calls Mussar, extreme spiritual fitness, because for 2 weeks we're going to focus on a particular soul trait. Now we're at this stage where we need to take this app from the wireframes into something that you can hold in your hand and carry in your pocket to help support your Mussar practice every day. Now, it's not cheap to go from these wireframes to a really good app for your OS device. That's going to cost us over $50,000. If we come together as a community, we can raise this money very quickly and put this into production. I would love your help. Please check out the prizes for how you can become involved. And thank you in advance for your support.